weeks ago, things felt okay, didn't they? Ericsson was staying, they'd kept the manager, they were in the new stadium, they'd spent some money. But now we look at the last 15 games in the Premier League, and this just lays it bare, okay? We know that Manchester City and Liverpool are streets ahead. Just look at the gap between them and Arsenal in third in the last 15 games. But there's City at the top, 43 points, plus 31 the goal difference. Now take a look at where Tottenham sit in the last 15 games. This is almost half a season of Premier League football, so we're not trying to sort of mess around with facts here. This is how it's been for the last 15 games. It's a decent sample size, and in the last 15 games, Spurs' form has them in the bottom three. We've got the three guys here. Let's also bring in Tim Sherwood, who's back at base. He's been part of early kickoff this morning. Look, Tim, I appreciate you're a few hundred miles away, but any question I ask these guys, I'm asking you as well, so you just dive in. Is that all right? Just
no problem, mate.
Be part of the conversation. I suppose the question to you, Tim, and everyone here, did this run to the Champions League final mask some serious issues at Tottenham? And actually, this is a side who, for a while now, have had some big question marks over their form in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers speak for itself. You can't deny that they've had a poor run of form. Got themselves to the Champions League final, and credit to them for that, albeit a little bit fortunate at times. I believe the manager knows what he has full trust in the way he works and his ability, and he gives that trust to the players. Now, there's no better game than a North London derby tomorrow to try and put this right. But every team has a poor run of form, you know, like Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United. And I'm mentioning them. I'm not mentioning Liverpool and Man City because Tottenham Hotspur are not at that level. No one's at that level. So they're having a poor run of form. Yes, they have. But it's probably the first poor run of form they've had since Pochettino took over.
I think personally, I just sense a bit of... It's a stale kind of club at the moment, the way it feels to me. I always feel that a club, every summer you need to reinvigorate that dressing room. You need to put someone in there, a new signing that people sit around and go, you know what, actually, whoa, I've got to show my levels why I've been here 10 years or why I've been here 5 years or why they call me a certain name or why I'm looked at this way in the media and prove it to someone. They've not brought in anyone for numerous transfer windows that is going to sit there and look around and go, right, show me what you've got, guys. And I think every change room needs that freshening up, and I don't think there's been a freshening up of the change room there to help the players that are currently there because there's no doubt the quality is within that changing room. They just need to add the right people.
But they went and got Ndombele this summer, does that not?
He's a good, listen, I think he's a fantastic player, great prospect, but he hasn't got the personality or the stature in the game yet to be the person that everyone goes, oh, actually, is Harry Kane going to go, oh, that's stimulating me, that player? He might do through performances over a period of time, but not immediately.
I think, Rio, I think the most depressing thing for Tottenham fans and their players is that Ericsson hasn't signed a new contract. And I think that when you don't win a trophy, you know, that elation, that feeling that goes right through your veins and you feel a part of the club. I think there's a legacy of not winning trophies that Ericsson's looking for the door, for the exit door, because he thinks he can get opportunities to win things somewhere else, maybe Real Madrid or Barcelona. Obviously, the salary then will come with that. And I think that's draining for the group because I don't think there's an awful lot wrong at Spurs. I didn't think I'd be the one sitting here defending them. I actually feel Tim Sherwood's right. It's the perfect game for them at the weekend. They beat Arsenal and all those problems go away. They went to City. Man City managed to draw, won the first game of the season. It went wrong last week. And I think that was linked to Ericsson. He came on, his body language, he wasn't able to rescue things. And it can look stale, but Tottenham, there's a lot there to be proud of. They spent £1 billion on their stadium, so they're a little bit behind other people. Their salary, we talked earlier about salary, they're paying on average £3.5 million, £3 million less than the team we're watching here today.
Yeah, but they've still got better players than to be sitting 3 off the bottom in the Premier League form table.
That's a temporary blip, and there's no need to panic.
Yeah, I think the form situation, it's not been for a while that Tottenham have had that much of a bad run. I think what you've got to look at with Pochettino, I'm a massive fan of him. I think he's going to be looking around and he's going to be looking to Daniel Levy and saying, look, I've just got this team to the Champions League final. Like, when are they going to pull the trigger, Tottenham, and go and get, like, remember a few years ago when Guardiola come in at Man City and there was talk of him not really fancying Aguero. And I'm thinking, if I'm Tottenham now, go and sign him, galvanise the dressing room. So Harry Kane looks round. I don't know how Daniel Levy keeps these players. He must he must be a magician or something, because as a footballer, you want to win trophies. You know, you have to maximise your potential, and he's keeping these players around, and I don't know how he's doing it. So fair play to him, but you know,
he's doing it because they're developing as players and they're enjoying coming into work with an outstanding manager.
Yeah,
that's why they're doing it. But they're not winning trophies, and then eventually they'll pay the penalty for losing this great group of players.
Ericsson is a prime example of that. When you're not winning, you can only stay there for a certain amount of time. you want to win things. You have to win, and that's what these players. Don't tell me Harry Kane, they go another season or two not winning. Harry Kane's not going to knock that door. I don't believe it. He will. Dele Alli will be the same. Son will be the same. These guys ain't going to finish their career. They're all going to be well paid. The bank balance is going to look fantastic. But what's the cabinet going to look like?
Yeah,
there isn't a cabinet at the moment, is there? And Tottenham haven't won anything.
You enjoyed
Tell me
that
the
one.
last time they won something.
He enjoyed that one.
He's enjoying it a lot.
Martin,
Not
you're out of
enjoying
order.
actually, because I think there's a lot to be. I mean, it feels like they're about 10 years, 12 years behind Arsenal, and they need to make sure that they
started so
Tim,
well.
are you listening to this,
He
Tim?
started already.
It needs to make sure what's happened at Arsenal isn't going to happen at Tottenham, Tim, because they now, of course, the manager wants him to invest in the team. Never mind the stadium. We're okay to spend another £1 million on a director's box, but how about spending money on my players?
Well, I think Daniel Levy would argue he has invested in the team. He cannot go out and buy the world superstars because he's not got that sort of finance. But this year they've spent, or this last window, they've spent some money. I mean, you guys touched on it there. The big problem they got is keeping the ones they've already got. And the ones who are looking to leave on free transfers are their best players, like of Alderweireld and Vertonghen, who's not in the team, which I can't understand. Christian Eriksen, massive. You know, Danny Rose, you know, he lost Trippier and they left him short in that right back area. You got, there's two centre halves sitting there, two of the two very good ones. You know yourself. If you've got a partnership at the back there, it's very, very important. Very important.
I just wonder
now,
if there's
why is Vertonghen not playing alongside Alderweireld at the moment?
It's a very good
when
question.
he's there.
I do think though that Tim, I think we saw this with Danny Rose and with Kyle Walker. When a player's disgruntled or he's showing a little bit of I'm not happy with with the contract situation, I'm maybe looking elsewhere or just muting that I could maybe spread my wings and go somewhere else. Pochettino doesn't take to that kindly, and he lets it be known by his team selection. You're out now. You're going to sit down and you're going to understand. You're either in or you're out.
That doesn't work.
I understand
with
that, Rio.
No.
Doesn't
I
work with
understand that,
Eriksen.
but who wins?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I
Who
agree.
wins?
You need
Who
your best
wins
players
in
on
that
the pitch.
situation?
Yeah, you need your best players.
Yeah,
The team is
certainly
suffering at the
Mauricio's not winning in that. He's not winning in that situation because you only win as a manager if you win football matches. No one's giving him any credit for that. You know, if you ask them Tottenham fans tomorrow when they turn up at the Emirates, who do you want to play? They'll say, oh, we want Vertonghen and we want Alderweireld partnership. But we want Christian Eriksen to start that game. Now, Mauricio's no fool. He knows they're his best players. For whatever reason, he's leaving them out at the moment. I think he's cutting his nose off to spite his face.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And we talk about the players not being happy. I wonder how happy he is as a place generally. You know, we've got Trippier who's gone to Atletico Madrid, and he actually said, didn't he, Tim, when he left, he said, look, there are issues behind the scenes I don't want to talk about. We've then had the manager come out, as Chris Sutton's been quite critical of, and said, look, I've got an unsettled group. Well, it's not great for us to hear about that, but at least we now know that there are issues behind the scenes there. And I just wonder what can be done to try and sort this out. We heard about Daniel Levy having lunch, didn't we, with the manager a couple of days ago, and he said that Daniel Levy got a photo out and showed him a photo of Pochettino and his backroom staff and Daniel Levy and his family and said to him, look, this is our relationship. Feels like Daniel Levy's fighting to keep the manager happy as much as the manager's fighting to keep the players happy, and this is not a great situation.
No, listen, the key to all of this is Pochettino. If he goes, then there's a huge, huge problem. Outstanding manager. And it is difficult. We had it with Kyle Walker, was the first one that started to raise his head, said wasn't happy with his salary. Danny Rose has managed to stay there. This is how Pochettino deals with it, because he wants them all to love coming to work every day. He doesn't want a bad apple in the group. But eventually, all of these contracts are all coming to an end. You could say that a crisis is around the corner, but I still feel that Pochettino's got enough good players there to get good results. Actually, Sanchez is not such a bad player, is he?
Martin, you said it before. We spoke about it before. You can only keep players on not a bad wage, but a wage that isn't at the top echelons of the game in the Premier League if you're successful and you're winning. The only way to keep them is if you're winning. And the problem that they've got at the moment is the wages aren't up there with the Uniteds and the Chelseas and the Cities. So the players are sitting there going, I'm not winning and I'm not being paid as much.
They won the Champions League.
I want one of them.
If they'd won the Champions League just
be
a few
happy.
months ago, all this problem would have gone away because they're heroes forever at that football club.